Good evening, dear listeners, and welcome to EuroTeQ course catalog webinar. The goal of this webinar is to introduce you to the new course catalog environment and talk about the different study possibilities within EuroTeQ. We will also hear some insights directly from a student who is currently in the middle of his EuroTeQ studies. But firstly, I would like to introduce you to Mr. Benjamin Parker, the project manager of EuroTeQ campus in Eindhoven University of Technology. He's joining us from the Netherlands. Hello, Ben.
Hello, everyone. Thank you very much. I will jump straight in. Thanks for the introduction. My name is Ben. I'm based in Eindhoven in the Netherlands at EUA. I've been working related to EuroTeQ for the past year or so. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining. What I will do, I'll give a very short history, backgrounds to what's happened so far with the EuroTeQ course catalogue and how we have worked as a whole group, individuals from each of the partner institutions to get to where we are now with this automated catalogue. Since EuroTeQ began as a group, as a alliance, there was an intention to create a flagship product, which was a joint shared course catalogue across all the partners. And the first version of that was a manual catalogue. So there was lots of background work that had to happen to align all the different processes and the necessary data so that a student from one institution could easily enroll on a course at another institution. There are some things that have been able to change in that time. So some of the way that we structure our data fields, that's influenced the automated catalogue. Some of those are changeable, but there are other things that are absolutely fixed. So for example, each of the partners has a slightly different academic calendar. And that's one of the big ones that makes things quite complex when it comes to creating anything joint. So at the moment, we publish our courses on the catalogue, and we have a set agreed deadline by which students need to have submitted their application. That's a challenge because some of our partners begin terms at totally different times in the year. So just to say, there was lots of excellent work that was done on creating a manual version of the catalogue. Courses were collected from the teaching staff and then published out to all our students. That was the foundation upon which we have since developed a automated catalogue. And that's what I'm going to show you now. I'll show you where we have got to so far with a automated joint EuroTeQ catalogue. Now you should be able to see my screen. Can someone throw out a thumbs up or just a little confirmation you can see what I'm sharing? I'll proceed unless I hear anything else. This is the landing page. This is the site that we point all our students towards now. And this is a site created by an organization called SURF. They have worked with us, all the different EuroTeQ partners, to create a site that allows us to pull information directly from our own student information systems or similar databases. And what that means is that whereas before we published a course catalogue, a bit like you would a paper catalogue, 10, 20 years ago, instead now the course data that we display on here is live, it's current and correct. So if we ever need to change any information about courses, students see the most correct and up-to-date information. This is the homepage, the landing page. It shows the different organizations within EuroTeQ that are fully connected to this site. So if I want to go in as a student at Caltech, I simply select my home institution. I'll show you that again. The reason that we have this page is because it customizes some of the information that is displayed to a student. For example, Caltech students see an earlier registration deadline because of when the applications for EuroTeQ courses need to be submitted. On this page, once you've selected your home university, naturally you don't see any of your home university's courses. You only see those of partner institutions. You can just scroll through all available courses, or you can use some of these filters on the left-hand side. You can search for something based on a particular subject that you might be looking to study, but this is at the moment all the courses on offer. If you know exactly when you have space in your calendar to begin studying, you can use the filter for when a course begins. If you know that it has to fit within a certain subject area, This one is particularly helpful because it helps you reduce down the number of courses that you can see rather than having 100+ courses all on one page. And this is one area that has been a particularly good example of collaboration between the different partners, because each of us as universities, we have our own list of subject areas that we might use. Some of us have courses in particular fields where others don't, or we might just call them totally different things. So this was quite a good example of a piece of work to agree a standard list of subject areas. And it doesn't mean that it's a perfect description of every course, but it allows us to create a really helpful filter option without having 80 courses under one subject area and 1 or 2 courses under another. At the same time, we've tried to include as much information, key information on this filter page as possible. We can see the minimum required level you need to be to study at on one of these courses. If you are looking to study at a particular partner, you can select based on the institution. And this is one we might make that a little bit more granular in future, but it tells you how many credits you would be expecting to receive after studying a course. And probably the most important, if you're studying a course via this EuroTeQ catalogue, you need to know upfront, how is it going to be delivered? Are you studying the course entirely online? Are you doing it as a blended program? Is it that you can do it whenever you please, time independent, or is this going to be a scheduled, structured course where you join other students at the same time? So what I'll do, I will show you an example of one of the courses available. We'll go for a course at LIX, the French partner. At this point now, so we started off on the home page. We selected the institution that you study at as a student, your own home institution. And then once you've found a course that interests you, you get a lot more detail about that course. So if I just go back a step, you don't really see any information at this stage. You see the title, you see the number of credits and the institution. In future, we're going to add a tiny bit more information to these buttons, but for now, that's as much as you get because there are lots of courses available. Once you're through onto the course page itself, if there is any extra information you need, so this example here for TalTech students, an earlier registration deadline applies, but the rest of it is trying to give as much possible useful information to students looking at these courses. If appropriate, there is a course coordinator, so you can find out more information from the coordinator if this comprehensive detail isn't enough. And we see as much information about what to expect from the course itself, what it will include, what you will learn by the end of it, the type of examination, whether it takes place online, in person, on campus, anything else that is available from the guest institution. And on the right-hand side, this is the essential bit. This is where you would actually click to apply for a course. And I want to note that this is application for courses. This isn't currently how students will enroll. If I click on this Apply Now button and I am a TalTech student, it would direct me to the TalTech team who would be able to register me for that course. The next big step for us as a project team is to work out how we can fully automate that enrollment process so that when I, as a student, select Apply Now, what's happening is that the necessary information is going from me to the home and the guest institution so that I can be fully registered on the course of my choice with all the necessary requirements about approval from home institution, number of credits, and so on. So that's a big, complicated, juicy next step. But at the moment, on the right-hand side of any page, you will see multiple courses. If there are multiple, so let's have a look. This is a Dutch language course at Eindhoven. You'll see if there are lots of future courses available, you can see when they will begin. And that's helpful to know if you wanted to plan your year or the next couple of years based around when you can fit in different EuroTeQ courses. One of the real joys of where we've got to so far, but a bit of a challenge, is that we all hold this information in slightly different formats, different ways. For most of us, some information is kept in one language but presented in another language, or is only made available to internal students. So there's been a lot of work to try and standardize some of this information. I gave the example of subject areas. We had to agree terminology for how we describe the level of a course. And for each university, there have been changes that are necessary to make sure we can present all this information in a really useful way. One really good example of that, examination for at TUE for Dutch students, it's almost always an on-campus, in-person exam. So if we just pulled the information we have about course exams onto this site, we'd be telling students at Caltech, in Munich, in Paris, students from other universities that they'd have to come to our campus, which is obviously not the case for most of our EuroTeQ courses. So in many cases, it's been important to find new fields or create new information that is particularly relevant to the EuroTeQ context. All this information, we've tried to make it so it's thorough, that there's a lot there, but not so much that it becomes unhelpful. And in some cases, if it's necessary to include extra information, there are URLs that take you to the university's page that details even more information about a course. What you'll notice here, this has an offering. The only offering for this course begins after the next winter semester. Semesters are a slightly confusing term because, as I said, we all have different academic calendars. But for EuroTeQ, that means winter semester would be anything starting from the end of August until the end of December. Because this course from DTU, the only available offering begins in 2024, you'll see that there's no apply now button. So we have the ability to make it that we can display a course that will be available, this entrepreneurship course. It's going to be available next calendar year, and we can put all the course information up there. Students can begin planning if they wanted to study this course, but at the moment, no one can apply for it, and that is intentional. That's so that there's no confusion that the only courses that someone can apply for at the moment are those where there is a live current offering, as you would be able to hear, for example. So I was going to show you one more page. I'll just recap. This is the landing page. You select which is your home institution. So if I am a Caltech student, I will go here. It then displays all courses from other partners. You can filter based on a number of different categories, or you can just browse through and find a course that appeals to you. Once you're on here, there should be as much information as is currently available. For example, sometimes you won't be able to see exactly when a course runs because it's not yet available from that partner, but it will be made available after you have applied and requested to be enrolled on that course. If you wish to, you can always click back and see all the courses from a particular institution. We have a brief bit of information about each of the universities, just to help out students who are maybe considering which of the partners they wish to study a course with. And one or two more pieces. At the top right, we're trying to make this a little bit more visible. If there are ever questions about how any of the process works for this, if there are questions about where to go to find out more course information, or how to apply, or how many courses can be applied for in one go, this FAQ page, frequently asked questions, this tells you at the top who you can get in touch with at your home institution for students. We explain some of the different factors about how credits are transferred, how we manage capacity if courses are oversubscribed. There's some information here about how the different academic years line up so that students have clear information about which courses they would be able to study on. And lastly, there's a link that takes you to the EuroTeQ main page. So if you wanted to see more about EuroTeQ as a whole, this isn't just a dead end catalogue, but it can take you back to EuroTeQ as a project, a partnership as a whole. So this is the first stage of 3 big steps in terms of an automated catalogue. Like I said at the start, it has built upon some excellent work across lots of different people at each of the partner organisations, and is a further development of the manual catalogue that has been used up until now. There's lots of room for things to change and improve. The next big step for us is finding a way to automate the enrolment process, or at least the vast majority of the enrolment process, because that's where there's a real benefit in terms of how many students can apply, how many courses we can offer, and start to increase the scale of mobility. So that's the big aim and ambition for the next several months and year or so. One of the big things to celebrate from my perspective is that this is a really good example of collaboration and at times compromise, because we have to find one way that works for all our different partners, even though there are so many complexities around academic year, IT systems, or format of data, or how easily things can be changed. And that will remain to some extent, but this is a really good example of finding a way to agree a solution without any one party having to abandon the project. So at that point, I think I am approaching time. We're doing questions later, but I just wanted to say this is something that comes about because lots and lots of people have done a huge amount of work to get there. It's technical staff at the universities; those are the ones I mostly work with. Administrative staff, those who work on the educational and strategic planning side. There's a reason that we want this to be a flagship product for us as a EuroTeQ alliance, and it's one, so that it really benefits our students, but two, that it benefits all sorts of other aspects of university life beyond that. So in future, we will very much welcome comments and thoughts and suggestions for how we can add to this. But that is where we are so far. It's a work in progress still, but a pretty good, healthy looking and well functioning work in progress. So I'll pause there. I'll hand back over, and I think we're doing questions later on. Is that right?
Thank you,
Fantastic.
Benjamin.
Thank you,
Yes,
everyone.
we are doing the questions later on, as Benjamin already mentioned. So I would like to remind you that if you do have any questions, if you have anything to ask, just write them in the chat, and we will address you in the end. But now, next up, we have Miss Anneli Kalm coming up, the development manager of TalTech School of Business and Governance, and she will talk about the different study possibilities within EuroTeQ. So please, Miss Anneli Kalm, she's right next to me. Stage is yours.
Thank you, Tom. So welcome, everyone. As mentioned, I am Anneli, and I work in TalTech, but I'm also a student. So I have experience with EuroTeQ project from the administrative side, as well as from the student perspective. And today I am telling you a little bit about the possibilities and actually why a student should consider taking a course from the course catalog. The course catalog has been around for 2 years, and now it's the 5th run actually when all the 6 partners are offering their courses. EuroTeQ is an alliance of 6 very good technical universities from all over Europe. So the diversity, as you can also see from the slide, is extensive. And these are all really good engineering universities. And around 800 students are using this amazing opportunity each semester to enhance their studies and take a course from one of those universities. And so why a student should choose a EuroTeQ course? So one of the main reasons is that you can have access to courses that are not offered in your university, whether they are from a specific field or just something that really interests you. Then another very important thing that you gain is international teamwork experience. The EuroTeQ course catalog includes very many courses where teamwork in international teams is a core part of the course. So it's an opportunity to stand out in the job market, something that you can add to your CV or LinkedIn account, and that really makes you stand out. Then there is also an opportunity to practice basically academic or field-specific English by studying some courses in English, which might not be a possibility on your curriculum otherwise. And also EuroTeQ is offering some flexible study opportunities, like online courses that are not time specific, that can be studied in your own pace, basically. So that is definitely a big value. So, and the course catalog is open twice a year. In May, where we are now, the courses are announced and you can register. And also a second time you can register is in November for the spring semester. So, and as Ben already mentioned, there are quite a lot of courses in the course catalog to choose from. And the main opportunities in mode of delivery are hybrid, which basically means that the local students are on site and the EuroTeQ students have the opportunity to participate online. So it's also a very interesting teaching experience in that sense. Then there are also online courses to choose from, some of which are which have a specific time when you have to be in the course, and some are time independent, which makes really planning more easy. And then there are also a handful of blended courses. And blended means here that you actually have the opportunity to travel to some of the partner countries. There is usually a week-long or a little bit longer part where students are on site, and the rest of the course is either online or in a hybrid format. So, and for some of the courses, we are also offering something called pre-recognition. It's mainly being piloted on the mechanical engineering field currently, which mainly means that the program directors of mechanical engineering have gone through all the courses and have identified the courses that actually fit to different mechanical engineering programs and which can be recognized as a part of your studies. So, but you definitely have to check with your program manager and also with your study consultant. And yes, and so thank you for listening. If you want more information, there are the links to the webpage, and definitely I encourage you all to take a course from EuroTeQ. And so not to just take my word, we also have a TalTech student who is currently participating in an EuroTeQ course. So Nathan, please.
All right, hello. Hello. I have some slides to show you. Can you see the slides? I'm getting some handshakes. No? Yeah, nice. So, okay, I will be telling you a bit about my experience of how I got to know EuroTeQ and what it's been like for the last year or so for me. So, I'm currently a student ambassador here in TalTech. I came across this opportunity through the student board. And because I voiced the voices of other engineering students, I was sort of chosen for this pilot project to be a student ambassador here in TalTech. And we've helped with hosting a lot of promotional events for EuroTeQ and telling other students about it. And most of them haven't really heard of it. So it's been a very cool experience to tell them or share with them. Also, we've had some brainstorming sessions where we, the student ambassadors, share sort of the student side of how things could be better and what could be improved for EuroTeQ to be even greater. I have personally asked feedback from TalTech's lecturers who give lectures in EuroTeQ, and they've been very positive, and it's a very different thing, but it's the transition, I think, has been easier thanks to COVID, where everything was quite online. So the positive feedback has been very nice to hear from them. And currently, I am also taking a course from the Czech Technical University in Prague, to have a better overview of what I am sort of trying to sell to other students, and to have a first-hand experience to tell at events like this. So I feel like the EuroTeQ program opens the door for all students to Europe, especially here in Estonia, when you're sort of far away from all the other sort of middle European countries. I call it sort of like a warm handshake between the universities, enabling us to take on new subjects that might not be available here in TalTech. And additionally, learn about other cultures and learn new languages, if that's what you're looking to do. So the course that I'm taking is in the Czech Technical University in Prague, and it's about telecommunication systems. I passed this course here in TalTech, but it was during COVID and everything was so transitional, and I didn't get the most out of the course that I wanted. So I took it again at another university, and it's so far it's been great. The lessons are completely online. I join once a week. It's in English, and the lecturer is very he asks a lot of questions from us, so you can't really put it as a background thing to just listen to it. You really have to put your mind to it, and it makes the lessons more engaging. I really like it. As said before, the introduction of the big platform of where you can apply to the EuroTeQ courses was done today, and so I will not be going over it again, but things to look out for when you're a student and applying to EuroTeQ courses. Most importantly, when does the course start and when does it end? A lot of students tend to not take extra sort of activities because they're afraid that their study load for the semester gets bigger, or they might have more exams to do during the end of the semester. This is important to look at when the course starts and ends. Maybe it's only 8 weeks, so you can finish your course in the middle of the semester. Or maybe it goes all the way to summer, which for us TalTech students is vacation, but in Germany they are very hard at studying still. So maybe that's something you're into, and maybe you can just work your workload better. Then what's the form of study? As I said, my topic is taught through online courses, and it's a totally separate course that is given for EuroTeQ. Some versions have forms of study where the students are in place at the university, and other students join online through the Teams or Zoom. And thirdly, there are some courses that are totally online. So you have set deadlines, but you go through the materials yourself, and you have to submit the exam or tests by a certain deadline. So it's more of you can do it whenever you feel like you have the time. Another thing that I've been trying to tell the students here in TalTech is that some of the topics that you take from EuroTeQ could replace something mandatory from your program that you're studying. For example, I could have probably replaced my telecommunications course here in TalTech with the one that I'm currently taking in the Czech Technical University. But before you try to do this, make sure that it's okay with your program manager or study guide, or what's the correct word? I'm sorry about that one. But just make sure that you have the green light, and then you're good to go. And lastly, pick topics that you're interested in. It will make it easier to follow through on the commitment that you've made to taking a EuroTeQ sort of study session, and you'll learn a lot more from it. This is it for me. Applying for the on courses is happening right now, and the deadline is on the 20th of June. Thank you for your time.
All right, thank you so much, Nathan, or as you were already introduced, Nathan, in the English version. If we have any questions, and now it's the time to write them in the chat. So you can do it right now, and our presenters are ready to answer them, each and every one of them. So Benjamin is here as well, I presume. Nathan is here, and Anneli is here as well. So if you do have questions, please ask them right now. Otherwise, we'll tell Benjamin to have a nice evening there in the Netherlands, and we will move on. This webinar is also recorded, and this video will be sent to each and every partner university, so you can re-watch it as well if you decide to do it later on to perhaps catch something you didn't catch before. So let's give it a minute or two. And if we don't have any questions, which is normal, which with the university students, no extracurricular, and then I guess we can just end the webinar. All right, it looks like we don't have any questions, so our presenters did a very good job, especially perhaps Benjamin gave a very good overview of the new course catalog environment. So I guess this is it. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Benjamin, for joining us. And thank you, my dear colleagues from TalTech as well. And see you all in the EuroTeQ courses. Thank you and have a great evening.